This day 1129 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If like sponsor coming Shemar the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please come me directly. Very greatly appreciated. Everything you're there, Simon Kuf Ches, see if you test. The Simon Kuf Test, see if base. You test. Yesh may not feel the man the sphere lay wecham milsahi. Those who say, even according to the opinion that holds that that fragrance is substance. It's only when there isn't 60 from the heter corresponding to Isser. But if there is 60 from the heter, mutter, it's permissible. That seems to be not a chiddush, but the chiddush I guess is that anything in the oven, anything in the oven established shishim joins up to 60 batal Isser. But you shouldn't pass this way except for in case of great loss. So, but without that, what connection is there between 60 and fragrance? You know where the fragrance went in the kulam, it went to all the pieces, everything in the oven. It's also another part of the things in the oven. So I guess that's a chiddush, that to say the shishim works implies that there's a uniform diffusion, which I would have thought we would have said. So really, he says you should require every piece 60. In case of loss, you can make this. You can draw a parallel between this and what says it's the call anything which can be included in the suffix joins in the nullification. So just like the Ramah Paskin that there. The rak l'tzorach hefsed yesh no kain, that should only be done when there's a case of loss. Ayin sham moedim bekan. This would apply here as well. Of course, according to the opinion holds rechalad milsa would not be an issue. It says in back in Zem Misbar and Divrei Ramah Shabakan. This explains the Ramah. Ayin bagra sheka bagra sivkot yotesh kasakin. So writes the gra. Base yeshomim chav yeshomim the Yisros of a mashu. Some say that when the Isser answers in a mashu can go come into Pesach. If there's chametz on Pesach, where it's in the mashu, then the fragrance is substance. Also forbids. I feel b'diavad im b'diavad. And final katam b'sasum. It's a closed small oven. And the isser and the heter are open inside the oven. Siag the svara zu and evidence for the svara. Believe a rif she'evena but receive hey. It comes from the rif which you mentioned. Receive hey. Recha have a mashu. Recha is a mashu. In the Chametz Pesach have a mashu, and since it's the Chametz Pesach is a mashu, mel gam reach also, so too the fragrance is also. Here, some say the ein chil, there's no distinction. Maybe you arrive in mikdash. If we arrive from the base of mikdash, you open betanu echad lachmei toida, whether you used to bake in one oven bread of toda, sheyesh bohem chametz umatzah, which chametz and matzah were baked together. Okay, lachmei toida. I don't know why we know that it's baked together, but evidently, we knew that. He says, I'm Mordechai Perko Shah, maybe it's there. He says, based on what we wrote, it's not proof. Because the whole Isser Mashu was only the Rabbanah. The Torah even comments about the Bashishim. If you Rabbanah also Mashu Rak Pesach, the Rabbanah answered comments of Mashu, it wasn't supposed to be Karbanos, it's only supposed to be Pesach. The Pesach is very Pesach. That Tanah B'Mikdash was a Dola. Besides that, the oven in the base of Mikdash was a large one. Well, it says, in a case of loss, you can rely on those makers who say that the fact that Isumashu does not make Recha Milsa, the Mammoths are the Pascal Shach Reitzka, especially because many people can hold that by bread there is no fragrance. These bar opposite Zion. This bar has been clarified more. Those who say the Besas and garment ain't lucky, if it's completely closed, you can't be lenient. If it's a little bit open, you can't be lenient. So he clarified if you can put in an oven 2 pots, one with the other next to each other. One is kosher, one is treif, or basar chalab, or milk and meat. Or it's slow zayd to roast one next to the other, ayin sham. Chavav, im yesh shel isra ala mardo, if there's a fattiness of prohibited substance on the shovel they use to put the stuff in, put stuff in, takes out of the oven. It's going pala. Lo shenu lupita. Also, heter kol yom. You can't put something mutter on it the entire day. Below mahani ba hagola to kasha doesn't work. Lo klipa kliumlus, and not even to peel off a layer with a plane. I feel hagola klipa mahani, even to do kasha or after you do peel off a layer, it doesn't work. Should the marba have a katashu shaydei, or because that shovel is like it's something which is used in fire. So dafka libun, in order to kasha, you need to have not hagola, but you have to have libun. That's white hot. No, it's not from that day. It doesn't have another one. It has to be used for 24 hours for Isser or for meat you want to use for milk. You can use it and eat the bread, which you put in and out of the oven with that shovel. But it's only when the baker is not Jewish. Place where they eat bakery bread for non-Jews. He's not going to list us to get another shovel. If the one we give him is not as good as his. But a Jew's baking also you can't use something which is not besiyoma, even though it's not besiyoma, because the even on no sitam gam. Um, uh, Kolakim, she goes to anybody like, okay, where we forbid chatchila using them. It's a tasbi chodesh. But if you violated that, you took out the bread with a shovel, which is used within 24 hours. There remains some fatty substance of isser near that pasa rishon also. First bread you remove is also because that absorbed from the isser. Shar mutter, the rest is mutter. The rishon calls the shuman, the first bread absorb the fattiness. It's also a fattiness from meat to milk, or vice versa. Brack says here, the Chavas Das writes this. Yisar Varishon Bohem, the first loaf of bread, can mix with the other breads, or then butter roll. It's butter the majority, it's maybe mino. I feel a pasuk is kabed, even the bread is a significant loaf. Won't you give the guest? Because we don't say chatikus kabed where the isser is not intrinsic. It's going to be made clear. It is made clear what's halacha by one of these shovels, which is chametz when you use it to make matzah. Chametz. We already wrote the Das Rifa Rambam. We wrote that pas chama b'nosanaga pita chovish shel yain nesach. If you remove a piece of hot bread from the oven, put it on the opening of a barrel of yain nesach, the mutter, it's permitted. The vab is swim except for barley. Even the Gemara says that even if it's a wheat bread and it's an open barrel, everybody asks. Even if if it's hot and its own barrel, it's also good to everybody, even if it's a wheat bread. That's going to be told recha milsa. Man the sfila recha la milsa. Going to be told recha is not milsa. And okay, it's not that way. Can't just kuba recha leheter since they paskin by recha that it's mutter recha la milsa. Paskin say gangi leheter. Also paskin in this case it's mutter. Kantor shel paskin recha milsa. So therefore two paskins that recha is milsa. Paskin gangi lechomri paskins like this point the chumra as well. It's a lashon haTorah, so to write paschama shemrachas lagabi chavetz psucha shel nesach. You have hot bread which is lying on a open barrel of yain nesach. Also, it's forbidden the fish because it absorbs much of the fragrance. And paschanes when the bread is cold, if you look even the barrel is open. Or paschama, it's a hot loaf. Chavetz tuma, it's a closed barrel. Mutzah is permitted akan shano. It doesn't distinguish between wheat and barley. Also, it's also usher by wheat, according to Torah. Back says here, Pasuk Rabbi Yehuda, look Rabbi Yossi, Pasuk Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yossi said, Rak Rabbi Yehuda, Tzvile Recha La Milsa. So it's only Rabbi Yehuda says, so Rak Rabbi Yehuda, Tzvile Recha La Milsa. I just said according to Recha Milsa. I guess in this issue of pas on that the pas is only also if it's hot, an open barrel of yain nesach. If it's cold, even though the chavis is open or the pas is hot and the chavis is closed, it's mutter. Okay, so and then that says, "Plus, you look Rabbi Yehuda, the Sila Durak Rabbi Yehuda Sila Rechel Lab Milsa. Only Rabbi Yehuda's Rechel is Lab Milsa. Rabbi Yossi Bekarim Nesha Sorim Shabbos when he says because the barley absorbs. Also Gangen Rechel also asks fragrance. The Sila Sorim Shabbos Lochitim only he holds only barley absorbs and not wheat. Kaim Karava the Rechel Lab Milsa. And that we hold like Rava that Rechel's Lab Milsa. Diva Reish Lakish. Pas Chama Chabez Psucha Duchliamalo Pli Yoser. Only when the Shlokit said where you have the double whammy of hot bread and an open barrel, nobody argues that's awesome. That's what the Torah does not reject from Malacha. I'm Yosef Bachar Bicharish Viduk. Chav Gimel Diva Rabbeinu Beis Yosef received Dalet Temuyim Binyan Zed. What the Beis Yosef writes is astonishing. He writes Pas Chama Shemunach Zagali Chav Yisuch Sheyainesa. He writes that a hot piece of bread which is lying on a open barrel of Yainesach, so it's awesome. The dafka imunachas negel gufa, but that's only if it's lying. I guess where the top would be. I pass on says the bread is cold. I feel even if the barrel is open. Or pass chama, or it's a hot piece of bread. Chavis tuma, and the barrel is closed. Mutzah it's permitted. If you pass soerin, you pass if it's barley bread. Also, it's forbidden. Ima pass chama if the bread is hot. I feel b'chavis tuma even if it's closed. Jug barrel. Hakalashon. Right, you pasa. How could this be? You pasa sifa al karifa ramam rechla milsi. Why would he answer anything here? He pasa rechla milsa. For I love agdoilin. Going astonishing. The prichos grace to place. So I have to say the main mazu came in these amra bagmar stama. This statement is explaining more generically. The chama psucha asur that if it's hot and it's open, it's asur. But that's the stuma mutter. If it's cold and it's closed, it's mutter. The chama ustuma. If it's hot and closed, it's nice for sucha, or cold and open. Machlokas for Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, it's three with machlokas. Madam Armemazu lo tolile, the Madam Armemazu lo tolile plukta the recha, and the opinion which holds that this statement is independent of the machlokas of recha milsa or not. Shema be the chuliyamo, then we're going according to chuliyamo. A pasuk memazu. If we pass like this memra, that independently of Recha Milsa, this is a separate issue, and therefore the Psak here doesn't necessarily have to do with Recha Milsa or not. The Tanai Pasuk Rabbi Yossi, and the Machlokes Tanoim here about this separate issue, Pasuk Rabbi Yossi. The Achal Kamosa Negar Meir Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yossi against Rabbi Meir against Rabbi Yehuda. In brackets he says if Chibura Godel Tabas Gamatur Soverkain. In the Beis Yosef, evidently holds that the Torah holds the same thing. Ein Shom Beduk. You're allowed to inhale with your mouth the fragrance of yain nesach to see if it's good. Everybody agrees to this. I feel we should recha milsa, even though it's a pasuk that recha milsa. Because nevertheless, b'zeh pasuk command is really begun to lab milsa. It says it's not substance. The reach hayain chazak v'nichnas etol guva maziko. The fragrance of the wine is strong and it's damaging into his body. So therefore, ain't gonna know there's no benefit. And this guy doesn't have in mind for a benefit. But ain't gonna know, so no spareach. Of course, he has in mind to benefit from the smell also. Ain't gonna can also he told my yain nesach abishenabolo. Also, it's also to taste yain nesach, to swallow it. So local b'shon also can't lick it with your tongue. And also the solid yain nesach. You also can sprinkle yain nesach. In order to give a room fragrance, because it's also to enjoy benefit. Take wine which is not yain nesach specifically, but stam yena, meaning it's generic wine of a non-Jew. We don't have any indication you use for avodah zarah. Shem mutar b'nah because you're allowed to derive benefit from it. Chav hey sack shel pipelim is zangvil, a sack of peppers and ginger, showing ingber. Shemesin kan knei yain nesach, which they put into barrels of yain nesach. Mutarech b'hem, you're allowed to smell them. Because wine doesn't give them any additional strength. On the contrary, in nosin koch b'yain, they give strength to the wine. She'll say mesimino some b'yain. That's what they put in wine. They shem yitnu koch b'yain, so you give power to the wine. L'chaim lo yain bohem and not vice versa. Become color beside the Abdullah Asr. Nevertheless, you can't use this fragrance package for besamim for Abdullah mishum the moist environment because it's repugnant to use for dvar mitzvah. Chaim nosim osam b'yayin shekabel and yayin. Also, you put them in wine that they should get the taste of wine. Also, you're not allowed to smell them. Chaim besamim shalabos kochavim, and so to fragrances of avodah zarah v'shal kerem of kilayim. V'orla also you're not allowed to smell them, at least not deliberately. They shouldn't be so not because now have the right benefit from them. Even though the whole that fragrance is not substantial, which is made to be smelled, so certainly the smell is substantial. So if this thing is usher to eat, but not usher that I benefit from, allowed to smell it. Hashem is but something which is not allowed that I benefit from, but you can't for smell it at all. Based on how usher screen tobacco with tobacco, if they put into a fragrance of something which is usher bano, also Hashem now to smell it or smoke it. But if it's wine which not used let's say for other purposes, that's okay. Kuftes. Then yavish yisara when you have dry and dry, solid and solid, which got mixed together. And they're not a piece which you give to honor guests with. So let me clarify in Simon Sai Chestiv Chavav. The Yavish, if you have solid and solid, Minator about the rope, as it's bottle in a simple majority. A little bit of Bishnai Matter, you don't need twice as much of the Heter, Eli Imraka Heter, Rabbi Yosmat, even the Heter is just a little bit more. Bottle is about no if I say so. Ben Chilik Minatora, Bemin, Bemino, the Shana Minos, no, the Raisa, whether it's Mino, Shana Mino, Biashlokim said, those argue with this sign Sham. Kamlach Belach, Min Bemino, also by liquid and liquid. It's also mean b'mino. No, kamlach lach mean b'mino. Mina Torah butter bro. Mean right is butter in one and two. He pashus the shas nachos based on the simple understanding of nachos. Yavina zemidam asapar, but the sawyer. It's out from the blood of the poor and the sawyer, which are mixed together in Yom Kippur. They don't negate each other. Nation only the mizbech because they are brought on top of the mizbech. That's because brought on the mizbech. But without that, came to mean b'mino. Since it's the same species, but the small amount of goat blood is nullified in the large amount of cow blood. I don't know what he said, because he said gam lach belach mino metar butter barov. Oh, I see. Because in anything which not only the mizbeach, right here it's a unique exception because only the mizbeach, otherwise it would be bato. Base achrachi v'teises the varosh kasi afinim zem achrei rab milhatos. Don't have from menachos, don't have from achrei rab milhatos for the majority. Varosh asilomar, Rosh adds that the iser nepach lios heter. The iser becomes heter. Dikdak nusham. We analyze this. Eze inyanu lachrei rab milhatos. What's up to lachrei rab milhatos? The shaman who told me lamar. There we take up we assume that whatever came from us came from the robe. She's about this, she's happy. We know it. How we know this is nullified and becomes answer. We explained that we learned that from taking from the blood of the cow and the blood of the goat. The umidam, this word umidam yiseru, it's superfluous. Take from the blood of the cow and the goat. And that's the rose comes to teach the dam asar and it was about the dam apor dam shalom l'zech. Only the case that scenario. Dam sawyer and dam por because they go to his back, they don't negate each other. Well, dam por doesn't negate the dam sawyer. Because shalom learn liman hazeh. Why do you need a derivation of this? To me, I know learn lomar she's bata lom kad achay rabim lahatos. It wouldn't work if we didn't know achay rabim lahatos. So unfortunately, gamli and bittul iser better. Kai krod achay rabim lahatos. Achay rabim. I ain't sham. That's what he's saying here. I think he says I guess it says, because we have this issue of dam por and dam sir, where it says it would be bottle. If not, then it's only on Mizbech. Where we know it's bottle from? Must be from Acharab and Hatos.